On September 14, 2007, 14-year-old Andrew Gosden left his home as he did on any regular school day. He was wearing his school uniform, carrying his backpack, and at first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But Andrew never made it to school. Instead, he withdrew £200 from his bank account, purchased a one-way train ticket to London, and never returned home. Andrew Gosden was born on July 10, 1993, in the city of Doncaster in South Yorkshire, England. He grew up in a Christian household, though his parents never forced their beliefs on him. They wanted Andrew to form his own views about religion when he was older. He was described as a quiet and shy boy, not very social, who rarely went out. And when he did, he always told his parents exactly where he was going and with whom. According to his father, Andrew rarely lost his temper. He was absent-minded, reserved, and surprisingly mature for his age. He enjoyed video games and heavy metal music, hobbies he usually pursued alone. At school, Andrew stood out effortlessly. He was considered a brilliant student and was part of the gifted and talented program, where he showed a particular aptitude for mathematics. When it came to his social life, Andrew rarely spoke about it. His mother said he had a small group of friends at school, but that was as far as it went. Andrew preferred staying at home, playing video games, and spending time by himself. Overall, there was nothing alarming about his behavior. He was a calm child, seemingly happy, with no signs of bullying or serious conflict. For that reason, his parents never had any real cause for concern, until that Friday. On the day of his disappearance, Andrew was getting ready for school as usual. But that morning, something was different. His parents later recalled that he seemed more irritable than normal, and for the first time, he was running late. This was unusual. Andrew took punctuality very seriously. In fact, he had a 100% attendance record at school. Even so, his parents did not suspect anything serious. They watched him leave the house to catch the bus and then went to their respective jobs, assuming it was simply a rough morning. They did not know it would be the last time they would ever see him. That evening, as dinner time approached, Andrew's mother began calling him. There was no answer. She went up to his bedroom and discovered he wasn't there. They searched the entire house. Every room, every corner. Nothing. Before panicking, they thought Andrew might have gone to a friend's house. They began calling one by one, but none of his friends knew where he was. Worse still, they said Andrew had not been at school that day. And it was true. Andrew never arrived at class. His teachers noticed his absence and tried to contact his parents, but due to an administrative error, they called the wrong number. When no one answered, the matter was left unresolved. At around 7 p.m., Andrew's parents contacted the police and reported him missing. Over the next several hours, desperate and terrified, they drove around nearby areas, hoping to find him walking alone, lost or disoriented. They found nothing. The following day, friends, relatives, and neighbors joined the search. The entire town of Doncaster mobilized, but Andrew seemed to have vanished. As the search continued, police reviewed security cameras near Andrew's home. One camera, belonging to a neighbor, captured Andrew leaving his house in his school uniform. But instead of heading to the bus stop, he walked toward a nearby park. He stayed there for a while, waiting for his parents to leave for work. He then went to a nearby ATM, where he withdrew £200, nearly all of his savings. Later, CCTV captured Andrew returning home. He changed his clothes and left again, this time wearing a black Slipknot t-shirt, jeans, and carrying a bag. After reviewing his belongings, police determined that Andrew had taken a PlayStation Portable, his wallet, and his house keys. He then walked to Doncaster train station and purchased a one-way ticket to London. Weeks later, security footage from a London train station was finally obtained. It showed Andrew leaving the station. It was the last confirmed sighting of him. Police considered the possibility that Andrew had traveled to London to meet someone he had met online. However, there was no evidence to support this. Andrew did not use the home computer, did not visit internet cafes, and according to his father, He didn't even have an email account. Authorities examined computers at his school and at the local library. They found no digital traces. They also investigated his PSP. Sony was contacted to access his account, only to discover that Andrew had never created an online account or used any internet features. Everything suggested that there had been no digital contact at all. So the inevitable question remains: why London? Andrew had traveled there before. He had relatives in the city and was always fascinated by it. His parents wondered if he had simply had a bad stretch of days and decided to skip school to visit museums, walk around the city, or take photographs. But there was no proof. The idea that he ran away from home also didn't fit. His parents were attentive, understanding, and deeply concerned from the very first moment. They used every resource available to them to try to find him. Bullying? There was no record of it. Andrew seemed to enjoy school and never complained. Some believe Andrew may have been a victim of grooming by an adult in his environment, someone who gained his trust and arranged to meet him in London, only to make him disappear. Additionally, Andrew left behind the charger for his PSP, his passport, and all of his other personal belongings. He also did not bring a coat to protect himself from the cold night air. Everything suggests that he did not plan to vanish, that he intended to return home that very same day before nightfall. There are many theories, but no answers. Andrew Gosden walked out of a London train station in broad daylight, among hundreds of people, surrounded by security cameras. And yet, no one knows what happened next. All that remains is the image of a 14-year-old boy walking alone, entering a vast city, and losing himself within it forever. Maybe someone knows what happened to Andrew. Maybe someone heard something. But to this day, the file remains open. Lars Mittank was 28 years old when he disappeared. He was born in Berlin, but spent his entire life in Itzehoe, in northern Germany. He was an only child and had a very close relationship with his mother, Sandra, especially after his father suffered a stroke years earlier. Lars lived a quiet life. He didn't use drugs, had no history of mental illness, and was described as a calm, home-loving, ordinary young man. Nothing in his past suggested that he would ever vanish without a trace. In the summer of 2014, looking to break away from routine, he planned a vacation and traveled with friends to the resort town of Golden Sands, near Varna, Bulgaria. For weeks, their days were spent at the beach and their nights partying. Everything seemed normal, until the final week. On the night of July 5th, Lars and two friends went to a beach bar to watch a World Cup match. There, Lars had a minor argument with other patrons supporting the opposing team. It didn't seem serious. There was no fight. The situation calmed down quickly, or so it appeared. Later that night, on their way back to the hotel, they stopped at a McDonald's. Lars said he wasn't hungry and would wait outside. When his friends came back out, Lars was gone. Assuming he had simply left on his own, they returned to the resort without him. Hours later, Lars showed up at the hotel. He told them that 4 men, allegedly hired by the people from the bar, had attacked him, and that one of them had injured his ear. His friends were surprised. Lars wasn't confrontational, and the story sounded exaggerated. But they didn't challenge him. On July 7th, the day they were supposed to return to Germany, Lars refused to fly. He said he was worried about his ear. A local doctor diagnosed him with a ruptured eardrum and advised him not to travel by plane. His friends offered to stay with him or help him return another way, but Lars refused. He told them not to worry. He said he would come back on his own. That was the last time they saw him. At the hospital, a specialist confirmed the ruptured membrane and recommended surgery, but Lars declined. He said he would return to Germany for treatment. Before leaving, he was prescribed an antibiotic to prevent infection, cefuroxime 500. That night, Lars checked into a cheap hotel near Varna Airport, and that's when his behavior changed completely. Security cameras showed Lars pacing nervously, looking out the windows, hiding in the elevator. He seemed frightened. as if he believed someone was watching him. From his room, he called his mother. He spoke in whispers. He told her something was wrong, that he was being followed, that she should cancel his credit cards because he believed someone wanted to rob him or kill him. Then he hung up. Hours later, he left the hotel in the middle of the night and returned without explanation. He called his mother again, this time insisting that they had found him. At dawn on July 8th, Lars took a taxi to the airport. The driver and another passenger noticed something strange. His pupils were dilated, his behavior erratic, but he kept repeating one thing. He wanted to go home. Airport cameras captured him entering, seemingly calm. He was wearing a yellow shirt, shorts, and carrying his luggage. He called his mother and told her he had arrived. He asked her for money. He said he didn't trust anyone. He said that they didn't want him to leave. Following his mother's advice, Lars went to the airport medical center. The doctor examined him and determined that he was fit to fly. However, he noted that Lars was extremely nervous and suspicious. During the consultation, a staff member entered the room. Lars began to shake and whispered, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." And he ran. Security footage shows Lars sprinting through the airport, leaving behind his passport, wallet, phone, and luggage. He ran outside, crossed the parking lot, climbed a fence over 2 meters high topped with barbed wire, and disappeared into an open field. That was the last image of Lars Mittank. He was never seen again. Searches involving dogs, drones, and specialized teams found nothing. The money his mother sent was never withdrawn. Over the years, many theories have emerged about what really happened to Lars Mittank. One suggests that during his time in Varna, he may have begun using drugs. It's believed he could have obtained them from the same men he claimed were chasing him. Perhaps that's why he was running, and perhaps, in the end, they caught him. Another theory points to the head injury he suffered. The blow may have affected his brain, triggering paranoia, worsened by the medication he was taking and possible alcohol use. Over the years, people have claimed to spot Lars in different parts of the world. None of these sightings were ever confirmed. To this day, Lars Mittank remains missing. No one knows whether he was running from something real or from something that existed only in his mind. Steven Koecher disappeared on December 13, 2009, in the middle of the day, in a quiet suburban neighborhood in Henderson, Nevada. At 11:54 a.m., a security camera recorded Steven driving his Chevrolet Cavalier through the Anthem community. He parked at the end of a cul-de-sac. A few minutes later, he stepped out of the car. He walked down the sidewalk. Then he came back. He reached inside the vehicle, took something with him, possibly a folder or a briefcase, and walked away again. Another nearby camera captured his reflection in the window of a parked car as he headed north. Steven never returned. Steven Koecher was 30 years old. He was born on November 1st, 1979 in Amarillo, Texas, and was one of 4 siblings. He grew up in a Mormon family, was a Boy Scout, and served a missionary mission in Brazil, where he learned Portuguese. He earned a degree in communications from the University of Utah and worked for more than 8 years as a journalist at a local newspaper, receiving several awards for his work. But in 2008, the economic recession changed everything. Steven lost his job and, despite repeated efforts, was unable to find stable employment. He eventually began distributing flyers for a window washing company in St. George, Utah, earning too little to support himself. By November 2009, he was several months behind on rent. Even so, those who spoke with him during that time agree on one thing: Steven did not seem defeated. On December 10th, 2009, Steven made an unusual trip. He left St. George before dawn and drove nearly 1,800 kilometers in a single day. He first reached Salt Lake City, then crossed into West Wendover, Nevada, and eventually visited the Neff family ranch where a former girlfriend lived. She was not there, but her parents welcomed him, shared lunch with him, and spoke with him for a couple of hours. Steven told them he was heading to Sacramento, California to visit his family, though he was unsure whether he could continue due to bad weather. Shortly afterward, he decided to return to St. George along the same route. That same day, he spoke with his mother, Deanne. They talked about Christmas and possible job opportunities. Steven sounded optimistic. He did not mention the long road trip he had just made. On December 12th, Steven left again. His phone registered a signal near Overton, Nevada, north of Lake Mead. That evening, he purchased gas and food in Mesquite, and hours later bought Christmas gifts for his brother at a Kmart near St. George. A neighbor saw him return to his apartment around 10 p.m. Half an hour later, he left again. The next morning, December 13th, two friends called asking if he could help cover a work shift. Steven said he was in the Las Vegas area, more than 200 kilometers from home. No one asked why he was there. Minutes later, he was captured on CCTV in Henderson. After his disappearance, Steven's phone remained active for several hours. Around 5 p.m., it pinged a cell tower more than 16 kilometers from where he had parked his car. 2 hours later, it pinged again even farther north. Early the next morning, the phone made a final ping near a highway interchange. Then, silence. Steven's car was found the following day. Inside were work flyers. There were no signs of violence or theft. When police contacted the family and realized no one had heard from him in days, his mother officially reported him missing. Searches were conducted using dogs, helicopters, volunteers, and drones. Hospitals, jails, and morgues were checked. A drug-sniffing dog inspected the vehicle and found nothing. Over the years, several theories have emerged about what may have happened to Steven Koecher. The main theory, and the one his family considers most likely, is that Steven traveled to Henderson for a job opportunity. His financial situation was difficult, and he was actively seeking work. In the security footage, he appears well-dressed, walking with purpose, carrying what looks like a folder as if heading to a meeting or interview. Another theory suggests that Steven may have become involved, voluntarily or not, in some kind of illegal activity to earn money. His unusual travel patterns in the days leading up to his disappearance and his unexplained movements fueled this suspicion. However, no drugs, weapons, or concrete evidence were ever found to support it. Some have considered the possibility that Steven chose to disappear on his own, but his family firmly rejects this idea. In his final conversations, Steven sounded hopeful, made plans for Christmas, and talked about the future. He left no farewell messages or signs typical of someone planning to vanish. Finally, there is the most unsettling possibility, that Steven became the victim of an opportunistic crime, that he trusted the wrong person or was in the wrong place at the wrong time. With no witnesses, no physical evidence, and no trace of him, this theory was never confirmed. More than a decade later, there are no answers. Steven Koecher was never found, and no one knows what happened after he walked away from that cul-de-sac.